Hello, welcome to another session for Freelance Business Week. I'm really excited for this session with Marte Siebenhar. She's going to be sharing a lot of great stuff and help us reconnect with the things that we really want to create in our life and our business. So, welcome, Marte. How are you? Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here.
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Really excited to dive into Bravery. So I'm going to switch over so I can see the comments. This is going to take me a second to get my window up.
No worries.
Okay.
Take your time.
So, yes. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Reclaiming Your Bravery. My name is Marte Siebenhar. I'm a small business coach, and I created this for you. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a brief welcome, do some intention settings. We're going to talk about me, about you, and then what brings us together today, which is bravery. We're going to do a little bit of unpacking magic and your fearlessness. Then we're going to go ahead and create a very easy, very simple, and very powerful personal bravery plan. And there'll be time for Q&A as well. We'll do some reflection and then next steps to go out into the world with greater bravery. So I'm going to go back and forth between sharing and not sharing so I can see the comments. But this is my time to welcome you. So I am so excited. I'm based here in Miami and really thrilled to be part of Freelance Business Week for a second time. I love what they do. And I know the sessions have been so powerful and so amazing. And so as we gather people here, as we start our session, I do want to just invite you to think about where you are on a scale of 1 to 10 with how you identify how brave you are. So think about it and just keep that number in the back of your mind. So I'll just give an overview. Who am I? Why am I giving this talk? So my story is that I'm a classically trained professional musician. I started out in the practice room and I loved the work and I also loved collaboration. And I ended up in the boardroom working with a lot of organizations, a lot of nonprofits, a lot of small businesses, really because I took a nonlinear path. I loved my life as an artist, but I really wanted to know that my work had impact. And I was sitting on stage and I could not see the audience. And I thought, gosh, this is amazing. I'm surrounded by amazing people, but I can't talk to them. And there was just something more that I felt that I was meant to do. So I got into a pathway from Manhattan School of Music. I landed at Midorian Friends running education programs for kids. I continued that work at Carnegie Hall. Then I ended up at the Kennedy Center where I studied arts management and was mentored by the CEO there, who is known as the Arts Turnaround King. He helps to save troubled arts businesses. And he trained me as consultant, as strategic planner. I love that work, but I felt like I couldn't just live in the world of ideals. I had to go apply them out into the world. So I ended up as executive director at the Bakehouse Art Complex here in Miami. That is still an institution that is near and dear to my heart. I adore them. And we built a lot of cool things there. Then I ended up at New World Symphony running audience development and doing quite a bit of coaching and mentoring with the fellows who are orchestral musicians who are preparing for their careers. And that led me to Cultured Innovations, which is my own small business that I started 2 years ago. And it started out as kind of freelance, like a bunch of projects, and really has been a platform for me to exercise all of the different parts of myself, the education parts, the professional artist, creative parts, as well as the business and tactical stuff that I was doing as a consultant and as an executive and as a assistant vice president at New World Symphony. So I kind of see this as this did not make sense to anyone in my life at the time. So this is my career path I see as my own expression of bravery, because it really is nonlinear, but it's been really joyful. And it's been something that has helped me be in a place to be able to share this talk with you. So what I learned along the way, again, here I am facilitating, which I enjoy doing because it's an opportunity to bring many points of view together, to share information and to take conversation, to take ideas past where they can do alone. So this is kind of like the teamwork that I do now. It looks a little different from professional orchestra, but it is so much more grounded in my purpose. And so I like to get a little bit silly. I like to play. And a little bit of play means you have to go into the bravery zone, because you have to find out who your playmates are and kind of the boundaries of that. And not all business is play, but I find that when you have a playful mood, and this is my friend Laura, who was playing with the deck of inspiration cards that I created, because why not? Why not become a published author of a book that is in the form of a deck of cards? Getting brave and living my purpose has really been a joyful part of being a small business owner and in doing the work that I do to support other small businesses and freelancers like yourselves. So why do I do this? There's so many amazing creative people out there, but sometimes they are afraid to be brave, and they either need a little bit of guidance, a sounding board, or a little bit of a nudge or strategy. And then we get distracted and we get hard on ourselves. And I love reminding people of number one and number two, it's okay to be gentle. And then I've also made a lot of leaps, and that includes, deciding I was going to end a marriage. That also meant moving a place that I had lived for 12 years and starting something with no guarantee of any job at the end of it. That was my Kennedy Center Fellowship in DC. And then also deciding to move to Miami. And it's a whole mixed bag. But when you're a freelancer, your business and your personal life kind of intersect. So I share that with you just to show you that I don't mind being brave with you. And that's really something that I cultivate in my practice. So about today, these are what I call the ground rules. So this session is absolutely 100% for you. Use it, make the most out of it. And I'm gonna recommend that you grab a notebook, because you are gonna have some opportunities to do some work that is just for you. And again, this is for you. This is not for me. This is not in the abstract. You have the opportunity to take this and run with it, and to see where you might discover something about your life and about your business. Again, when we're freelancers, our lives and our businesses, who we are, we take ourselves everywhere we go. So also, no question is silly. So feel free to ask. The chat is yours to communicate, to share, to stop me, to ask what's going on, and to go deeper. So I'm going to challenge you also to be a little bit brave. And if there's something in your heart or something in your mind, or I ask for feedback, if you're not a person who generally speaks up, please do. And if you are somebody who normally speaks up, maybe take more of a back seat. But there's no right or wrong answers in this session, and you can't get it wrong. So, and nobody can see you, so you might as well just try a tiny bit more bravery and start to embody this concept that we're talking about. So allow yourself to experiment. And you have permission. You may not have permission anywhere else in your life, but for the hour that we're together, you absolutely have permission. And this is interactive. I know I'm talking to myself right now because I can't see you. I'm going to stop the share in a minute and we can connect. But this is for you. So please, when I know what's going on with you, I can be of better help to the specific questions that are on your mind. So those are kind of our norms. So I would like you, please help me get to know you a little bit. Tell me just something quick about you or your business, and then also what you want to take away from this session. So that could be, I'm just here to observe, hopefully not because this is the bravery session, but it might also be, I'm looking for some tactics that I can look at. I'm looking to delve more into what's stopping me, whatever it happens to be. Let me know a little bit about you and your business, and then what you want to take away from the session. So I'm going to stop the share and just see if we have any comments yet. And I will wait in that uncomfortable online space for some feedback and for some folks to chime in. And if we don't have anyone who is interested in sharing, I will move on. But again, this is for you, and this is a great opportunity to be accountable to show up for yourself and for your business. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and keep going. All right. Hopefully we'll have some interaction.
We had some comments now. I'll put them there right now.
Okay, super.
Yes.
Should I stop then, or do you want to read them out?
Yeah, let me put them here.
Aha. Bravery is up and down on an everyday basis. Yeah, I can attest to that, especially during COVID. What do you do when the world is not the same as what you know, and then you're doing a freelance business? So adaptability. Bravery is up and down. Yeah, navigating the ups and downs. Design and branding strategist. Awesome. Pandemic has trashed your business. Yeah, need to reclaim bravery to make another push. Yeah. Excellent. Well, hopefully we'll tackle that a little bit today. Started freelancing 2 years ago after 45 years in the corporate world. Yeah, and PR. You're still ramping up, so need all the help you can get. Yeah, and being a performer myself, I would tell you that I've never had a child myself, but I hear there's no really good time to have a kid because it just disrupts. So your business is going to be that, but that's why I love experimenting. And we're gonna talk about your experiments that you're gonna do into Bravery later in the session. I'll walk you through it. It's gonna be so easy. But yeah, it's the unknown, right? So fantastic. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody who shared. Okay. All right. So our 1 minute challenge here is take your paper and see if you can list all of the reasons you can think of that inspire someone to be brave. Why would somebody be brave? If you can list all the reasons you can think of. So I'll just put on the timer for 1 minute, 60 seconds. All the reasons. And if you'd like to share any in the chat, you're welcome to as they come up. Any and all of the reasons you can think of. Okay, that's a minute. Yeah. Great. Spinning wheels, losing touch on the evolving work landscape. Yeah. So pausing on the 1 minute challenge just for a second to go back to the intentions or the about you and what you want to get out of the session. Losing touch on the evolving work landscape. Yeah, this is something that I think that freelancers are in the best possible place right now because you have the ability to be flexible. You're not a multinational corporation, so you can think about what your unique gifts and talents are, and then also what the opportunities are, and do some small experiments to get some input, or volunteer to do a project and add some capacity somewhere. And part of the reason people, I find, don't hire people is that they just don't know them and they don't know their work. So doing a small, simple project is a great way to get going. Yeah, you need to change. Yeah. I was really scared to do my business full time. And once I started doing it, I saw how much energy I had been spending on doing work that was for not necessarily the things that were in my personal mission. So I felt just a freedom and a sense of agency that was so beautiful. Great. Reasons to be brave. Learn new things, have a new wonderful experience, be successful, be role models, and yeah, help others. Fantastic. Thank you. Beautiful. Yeah, these are all terrific. Yeah, reasons to be brave also, like you don't have a choice sometimes in terms of needing a change or, evolving work landscape. A lot of this stuff is out of our hands. So when you be brave, sometimes you shift the energy around where you are because you're taking control. Yeah, not fully using your gifts. I can relate to that. Beautiful. Thank you, everybody. Okay, going back. And we're going to do a series of these little questions. So if you'd like to share in the chat, and you don't have to, but again, a lot of times we're not thinking about the times in our lives that we have been brave. So if you can think about when were you brave and something important happened as a result of that or connected to that, this also helps give us courage in the face of the unknown, because we get to remind ourselves out of our own experience, we actually have been very brave. And it's not just us getting over our fear or taking the leap. It really is that when we are brave, things around us change. Let's see if anybody's put anything in the chat. Okay. All right. We'll come back. You all can chew on that for a couple minutes. We'll just keep moving. And I will come back. So don't feel like if you share now and I'm moving on, I'm definitely coming back. So you won't miss out. Okay, so what is bravery anyhow? For me, bravery is the leap. It is doing something you don't know how it will end. And sometimes there's fear there, but the fear, in my opinion, is just showing you something is important to you and you want to protect yourself. And that's totally human. That's totally normal. So according to Google, to be brave is to be ready to face and endure danger or pain, showing courage. And then as the verb, to endure or face, in parentheses, unpleasant conditions or behavior without showing fear. I would say that sometimes it's okay to show fear. And if you're showing fear, you're still brave. Thinking about, one of my best friends just had a baby, and man, that is bravery. And I don't think she was scared, but she was fierce, and wow. But yeah, willing to endure danger and pain, showing courage. Yeah. So what I want you to do now, we're going to do a little bit of a visualization. So if you are driving, don't close your eyes. But if you're in a place where you can come to a quiet space, I want you to close your eyes, take a breath in, and hold it just a minute, and exhale through the mouth, and then hold. Another breath in, opening the possibilities, opening the space for bravery, for the answers that you are looking for, and out. And I want you to remember a time when someone gave you a name. This is a name that you didn't choose, and perhaps it was a hurtful name. It was a name you didn't agree with. It was a name that made you angry. What was it like when somebody else defined for you who you were in a way that you did not choose? I want you to feel into it. So really connect with the emotions that come up with that, the feelings. For me, when I think about this, I have these feelings of being trapped and being completely misunderstood, being discarded, being rejected. And then once you've had a reconnection with those feelings, I want you to imagine who you are now. The braver version, the you that has bounced back, the you that went on and turned things around. Notice how that feels to be who you are now, on your terms. Then I want you to reimagine that person who gave you that name. If you're brave in this imaginary situation here where there's no risk, I want you to imagine that person in front of you, looking at you with compassion and with apology. You can imagine them saying, "I'm sorry. I didn't realize it would hurt you. I didn't realize that it wasn't my place." And then I want you to imagine yourself thanking them, allowing yourself to forgive them, letting go of the hurt and the anger and the disappointment. You can look that person in the eyes and say, "You didn't know me, and you did what you thought you wanted to do. You didn't think about the impact, and that's okay. We all make mistakes. You giving me that name helped me become who I am now. The person, the strong, beautiful, shining person that I am now." Now, I want you to turn the tables. That person is still there in front of you. I want you to have this imaginary conversation with someone, that person, where you choose a new name for yourself, the name of your choosing, not the one that your parents gave you, not the one that your job title has given you, not the one that is your business title. Choose a new name for yourself, affirm it, and share it with that person. Let them know this is who you truly are. This is the person that you've become. And part of the pain and the disappointment that they brought with them contributed to who you are now with this new powerful name. So when you're ready, you can come back to the room. You can bow your head and thank them. You can come back to wherever it is that you are. And I would love for you to share if something came up for you, especially if it's surprising. What did you discover as you visualize? And again, the imagination is such a powerful tool to help us work through our fears and to come to a place of greater bravery. So I use a lot of that, and your imagination is free and it's there anytime you want to use it. And there is wisdom when we go over to the right brain, which is where we visualize things. We don't visualize in the rational brain, we visualize in the right brain, the creative and intuitive brain. So what came up for you? What did you discover? And how did it feel?
We have some comments from the previous question, so I'll put them here.
That's okay. Yeah. So going back, you were brave when you pitched a way over your head prospect who became a client. Well done. Nice. Another brave moment, walking through a part of a foreign city that the guidebook says to avoid and meeting the most wonderful people, despite not speaking the same language. I think that's one of the reasons travel is so brilliant. And the travel is deliberately going into the unknown. Travel requires us to be brave. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. And again, we'll come back if you have thoughts about the visualization and what you discovered. We'll go back. Keep it moving.
We have one here.
Oh,
yes. The thing here is that they take a few seconds to
Oh,
to
sure.
load. So
Yeah.
let me.
Felt good, the apology, and to reaffirm your power and goodness. Yes. There's a lot of power when you visualize, and especially forgiveness and also reaffirming taking back your power. You don't have to actually say anything to anybody, but when you embody that in a way that is vivid and you're feeling it, I do believe something beautiful happens. The energy shifts and you come back to your heart. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, and you're brave to share, and that's just so beautiful. Okay. All right. So I want you to write down, what's that brave thing that you want to do, but you're maybe scared to name or admit? And what do you want in your heart that you're choking on? A lot of times we want something and then we rationalize why we can't have it, or we're being powerfully called to something and then we find reasons that we're not good enough or that it can't happen. But this is a space just for you to say in a whisper to yourself or in your own journal, name the thing that you are wanting, that you want to do that will require your bravery, or that you're not putting out there because you're afraid. Okay, toggling back. Anything new? Okay. Great. And this isn't a share necessarily. This is just for you to consider. What is the thing in your heart that will require bravery, or that you're not sure how you're going to do it? That all of these totally qualify. Just want you to take that moment and notice there are things in your heart that you have not yet realized. And it's okay to name them. And in naming them, you start to actually exercise your bravery. And I think especially with creative people, with freelancers, a lot of times we have big visions and they're so big, we kind of freeze a little bit because we don't know how, or it's so big, we can't see the pathway to do exactly that toward the very end, when what we could do is just take a little baby step, a little snack on the way to the 12-course meal or whatever it is that you're imagining in your head, in your creative vision. Excuse me. And that's okay. This is just for you. So what makes a person brave? Just think about that for a second. What makes a person brave? We talked about all the reasons somebody could be brave or what inspires them to be brave, but that might be more of a short-term thing. So if you think about brave people for whom that is not a temporary trait, but that's an ongoing thing, what is it that makes a person brave? Okay. And part of this session is that I'm going to give you a lot of prompts, and it's going to feel like impossible deadlines because I want to keep moving. So there might be time that I move on and you want more time, but you can always go back afterwards. Or if you had a question, obviously pop in anytime. Okay. So when I think about brave people, I think about 3 people, and they're all women: Oprah, Brené Brown, and Beyonce. When I really think about the nature of what they have put out into the universe that is helping people, that is important to us understanding ourselves or feeling good or feeling a sense of community, all of these 3 women totally hit that button for me. So when I think about Oprah, from being a reporter in Alabama to creating a whole empire on multiple media platforms, just wow, that's the big vision that we were talking about a minute ago. But she has along the way done very beautiful things to help people not only learn to read more with her book club, but also she's done tremendous things to open up spirituality as like an everyday thing. And to me, that's very, very inspiring. Brené, of course, Brené Brown. If you haven't seen her Netflix special, you haven't cried. So powerful. Work on shame, like shame research and what really motivates us. And I think her sharing herself is very brave, and she gets very personal. And then Beyonce, I mean, wow, she is not afraid to do anything. I just was looking up photos that I could use for this. And in November of 2020, I think she was on the cover of Vogue UK. And she decided that her act of bravery was to acknowledge and allow herself to take care of herself. I'm paraphrasing, but those are people I think of as brave. So think about who's brave for you. All right, now we're going to get into a little bit more of the tactical here. So I want you to divide whatever paper you have. Like I have a notebook like this. If you have a clean sheet of paper, you could fold it into thirds, but I want you to create some sort of 3-column system right now. Okay. And you're going to start on the left column with a person that you know. So just identify, scan your life, scan somebody you know who you identify as brave. And I want you to fill in this column with the reasons that person is brave, all of the things about them that you perceive as brave. And I'll give you a minute to do that. Person that you know. It could be your grandmother, it could be your neighbor, it could be a leader or a mentor, your animal, if you have a pet, could be anybody. But person that you know, what makes them brave? And also maybe when are they brave? This might be your best friend, could be a close friend, could be your partner. Okay, and then when you've done that, we're going to move to the middle column. And I want you to list out yourself, all the reasons, all the circumstances, all the ways that you have been brave in the past, or that you are brave if you exercise that constantly. So a little bit of window into you. And you don't have to be brave in the same ways at all that the person that you know is brave. So how are all the ways you're brave? And give yourself evidence from your life. You have lived a whole life and you've had experiences, and all of those count, even the things that you don't think about. Going to school was brave. Taking your first steps was brave. You might not have known it at the time, but yeah, getting into a relationship is brave. Starting a new job or leaving a job is brave, if you've done any of these things. Okay. And then also think about when you are brave. When you are brave, it's because what? All right. And the third section here, I want you to fill in this column. I know it says a close friend, but this is actually what the close friend would say about how you are brave. So we're not identifying with ourselves here. We're looking through the eyes of a very close friend at ourselves. What would your close friend say about how you are brave, when you have been brave? It's one step removed, and generally friends see things that we don't see about ourselves because we're in it. Great. So while you're working on that, I'm going to go back to the main window here. Just check in. Yeah, promoting yourself, your business, charging what you're worth for your services. Beautiful. Yeah. It does require bravery to promote yourself because you have to share your story. And that's something that I'm starting a hypnosis angle to what I do. And so I'm looking at how do I exactly share about this? And it's making me feel all sorts of vulnerable. So I totally relate to what you're saying. Beautiful. Great. Okay. right. So this 3-column exercise, this 3-column anything is one of the tools that I use to get greater clarity, to kind of tap into deeper wisdom. And I'm wondering what came up for you? What did you discover? And how did it feel to look at yourself, to look at somebody you know is brave, and then look at yourself? For me, the most interesting discoveries come from when I look through the eyes of a friend and I look at how they see me and how they would identify that I'm brave. It's not the same answers for me than it is for my friend. So please do share. I know it will take us a minute to unearth some of those. Okay. Yeah. All right. Leave it just another minute. Anyone going to be brave and share? Okay. Okay. Yeah, charging with your worth. That was a whole thing that I feel like I'm settling into. And what I mean by that, and I see there's a new comment, which is awesome. I'm going to finish the thought though. Charging what you're worth. I feel like when I charge what I'm worth based on fear, it kind of always goes south. So I would look at charging what you're worth, but not in a, like, look at if there's a layer of self-protection or needing to prove something, something that might come from a place of needing validation. Because I've made all of the mistakes. So I would say, charging what you're worth. I didn't really understand what I was worth until I'd made a couple of mistakes, overcharging or over proposing, and then getting into a place where I really felt in resonance with where I was. What friends say about me: well-spoken, kind, competent, motivated, confident, but I don't believe it most of the time. Yeah. And how do they speak to your bravery? How do they see that your bravery is coming through? So it's brave to be kind. It really is. Emotional generosity is very rare. And confidence. Yeah, confidence takes bravery. So you may be doing some of these superpower things and you're not even aware of it, or to you, it doesn't look like anything brave is happening. But to somebody else, you're rocking their world with how you show up. So that can be super powerful. And again, we may not be actually aware of that, but it doesn't mean it's not happening. It can be visible to others. Okay, great. And now I'd like you to take your notebook out again and remember a time when you weren't brave and it didn't serve you. And what was that like? When was a time when you were not brave and it did not serve you? When did you sit back when you saw something disappearing that maybe was an opportunity? What was happening when you just didn't take the opportunity? And then somebody else got the promotion. Somebody else got the gig. Somebody else got visibility. Yeah, and then dig into what was that like for you. So when you were fearful and you were not brave, you didn't own your bravery, and it didn't turn out great for you. Notice that, because a lot of times we convince ourselves that being brave is great, but there are times when being brave doesn't work out, and there are times when not being brave doesn't work out. So for me, this looks like missed opportunities. This looks like maybe charging more for my services. So I'm linking back to that person who said charging what you're worth. But being scared to, and when I was an executive director, I had to raise money. And there were times when I was like, oh, I should write this email, but I just wrote one last week and they're going to be sick of me. But I know that there is one person who I could have really cultivated, who would have made a really, really big difference. And I just got shy. I got scared and I didn't want to bother them. Right. So that didn't serve me. Great. All right. And then you can close your eyes and go back to what your friends were saying about how you were brave, how you show up bravely. And remember a time when you were brave, something from your own experience that did serve you. And then what was that like? When you were brave, you took a leap and it did serve you. Anytime I do this in groups in person, I don't know what it's like online here, but every time I do this in person, 100% of people choose a moment out of the ordinary. So for instance, one person decided to really support their daughter. It was something that cost them greatly, personally, financially, emotionally. But when they were there at their daughter's graduation, it was a huge moment for them because it took the bravery of both of them. And so they did that in community, but it really took bravery to stand up and support that person who was in need, but would require a bit of personal costs, especially on the emotional side. They didn't have a great relationship. Another person summited, I think, K2. It was one of the big mountains. And from up there, they had a spiritual experience that gave them clarity into what they're really here to do. So that was just another example. But thinking about what was it like when, slide before, when you weren't brave and it didn't serve you. And then when you were brave and it did. So just looking at these things in context, because again, I think a lot of times we tend to put bravery outside of ourselves and say like, oh, well, that's an extraordinary thing, that it has to be a really big thing in order for it to count as bravery, or somebody has to do something huge, or somebody else has to validate that I've done something. And bravery can just be choosing another thought. If you're not used to thinking that thought, and that thought might open up a new pathway for you. All right. If there was anything that unlocked your willingness to be brave, I would love to hear about that. What unlocked your willingness to be brave in those situations, or in that last situation? Was it summiting K2? Was it taking a vacation, not knowing how you'd pay for it? Knowing that you'd have an experience that you were just drawn to and you couldn't explain. A lot of times I find that these instances that they don't force us, they invite us to be brave, are the ones we can't really explain, but that on the flip side really do unlock something that is pretty special and powerful.
We have some new comments here for the previous.
Was asked to give an interview for a local magazine, didn't feel worthy, so you declined. Oh, ashamed and disappointed, lost an opportunity to grow my business. Yeah, I've done that too. Who am I to talk? Who am I to write a blog post? Who am I to be featured? But that's okay. That's temporary. Now yeah, submitted a big proposal last year, never got a response. Regret not following up and not getting some info on why the offer was passed over. Yeah, and the same thing with the fundraising example I gave earlier. It's like I just felt embarrassed to keep engaging people who I thought I was bothering. But looking back now, I see, and doing a lot of fundraising coaching and fundraising since then, I recognize I just was looking at it differently than I could have, where instead of looking at myself as like, oh, they don't want to hear from me, what do I have to say? I realize now that that was an opportunity to just develop a relationship, and just that little tiny spin on the intention there really changed things for me. So yeah, what can you do? Because promotion, opportunities to be visible are scary. They're really scary because they put us out there, and unworthiness is a thing that I think stops all of us. I think it's the most common form of fear. But it's easy to think we're bothering people. And so I totally relate with everything you're saying here. Totally, totally. And all of this helps you become who you are and to the success of your business. I don't think that any experience is ever negative, because it gives you lived experience that when you unpack it in this kind of way, you start to see in a different light. And that I feel like is very, very valuable. Eliminating unworthiness, my theme for the year. Yeah, snaps to that. If all of the world did that, that would be amazing. Think of what creative projects and what new businesses and what fantastic life-saving products that we'd have. Yeah, that's beautiful. And living that through your business is going to be really, really neat to see how that unfolds too. Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, so what about, and I got this photo from NASA, public domain, really awesome, the footprint on the moon. What about the unknown? Let's talk about your personal plan, your daily personal bravery practice, which starts with the unknown. So I want you to fill in the blank here. There are two answers, they're there below. The unknown blanks my bravery. It either feeds, sorry about the typo there, feeds or starves your bravery. Which one is it for you? Does the unknown excite you? Does it get your juices flowing, or does the unknown terrify you and paralyze you? And there's no value judgment here, because I've been both of these things within the course of a day, just in different contexts. Like, I'm super brave in this way. Like, my fiance always wants me to go out paddleboarding with him. I'm just a little scared of the ocean. So, you know, I respect water. I don't need to always be brave in everything. Okay. All right. So the unknown feeds or starves my bravery. So my own experience is that where you let the unknown stop you, you're playing small. And that definitely impacts your ability to accomplish what you're really here to do and what's in your heart. That thing that you wrote down that you really want to do, or you're interested in, but you're a little bit scared, or you don't know how it's going to happen. So think about playing a little bit bigger. So yes, let's revisit what you wrote from before. What's that brave thing you want to do? Maybe you're scared to name or admit, or that you do want in your heart, but you're kind of choking on it, either because you don't know how it will happen, or you don't see a clear pathway to making that happen, or you just don't know where to start, or it's so big it's just like it seems impossible. So with that in mind, we're going to create your own daily personal bravery practice, and it's a 5-step process. It's super easy. And I want you to think about that thing from the previous slide, the brave thing that you want to do that you're scared, or that you have in your heart, but you're stopping yourself. And your practice can be ideally geared toward that. Okay. So step 1, make a list. What could be possible if you were just 1% braver? And I want you to list all the things. This is for you. This is step 1 in your personal bravery practice. What could be possible if you're 1% braver? We're not talking 200% braver. We're not talking 30% braver. We're not talking 80% braver. We're not talking even 10% braver. We're talking about 1% braver, which kind of like makes it pretty low barrier to entry there. So if you were 1% braver, what could be possible? And list as many things as you can. This is the kind of thing where if I had sticky notes and we were in a room together, I'd have you all put one note, one idea per sticky, and we'd fill the room with what could be possible. I'm grateful for the virtual. It's a little cleaner, I guess, without all the stickies everywhere. But that's one of my favorite things is stickies. Okay, step 2, we're going to look at the 5 levels of bravery. So if you have kind of hard time digging into what exactly is, where do I start with bravery? It's such a big topic. So let's break it down. There are 5 levels of bravery, starting from the bottom. Physical bravery. If you're somebody who likes to, get into jousting fights or fight club or something like that, that's a level of physical bravery. Also, war or something like that, which I have zero experience with and can't speak about in any intelligent way. Emotional bravery. So for me, this is kind of what has already come up here, which is, and if this is something that's come up for you about where you haven't taken an opportunity, is vulnerability, being close to somebody or showing yourself. The next slide has some examples, but emotional bravery is a thing. And we so rarely do that as our culture. It rewards things that are about, performance and rightness and metrics. Those are not emotional. And in fact, I think one of the beautiful things about being a freelancer, being a small business owner, is that you have your own emotional space that does become part of your business. So thinking about being emotionally brave or emotionally generous can be very powerful. Social, being brave with people. So showing yourself, that's a little bit also what we were talking about. And mental bravery, like maybe thinking new thoughts if they're not serving you. That's bravery. And then spiritual bravery could be booking that yoga retreat that you've been wanting. I don't know. So I want you to complete what this looks like for you. And that could be, these are just some examples: prayer, automatic writing, meditation, retreat, channeling for spiritual, maybe writing, putting that blog post out there, putting that magazine out there, getting that book going, thinking new thoughts, visualizing, that's all mental. And social, intimacy, conversations that are a little scary. If you're doing anti-racist work, this is a great place to plug that in with others, and reading and that kind of thing. Allowing closeness, teamwork. Also, hi freelancers, asking for help is one of those things that takes bravery. I only say that because that's me. I've been there. Emotional bravery, speaking your truth, sharing of yourself, being gentle, being empathic. Loving is definitely an act of bravery. Generosity, like I said. Physical, public speaking, like what we're doing now. Even dancing. Right now, I wouldn't recommend going out, but if you feel like trying a new sport or going on an adventure, sex can be a physical, brave act of bravery. Also, solo travel. We talked about travel also, but think about what these are for you. So you're gonna now, step 3, pick 6. These are the 7 days of the week. You're familiar with them, okay? What we're gonna do is you're gonna pick 6 days and a time limit you'll commit to daily. So pick your 6 days, maybe circle them. These 6 days are days on which you will do something having to do with this practice. Time limit you'll commit to daily. So as little as 3 minutes, could be more. Choose what, and we're doing this because when you do a practice, you got to practice. So you're going to do a 6-day practice. The 7th day is a free day of rest. You don't practice. So you do 6 days. Here's your time limit. And then the length of your experiment. You're experimenting with this practice. So 40 days, super powerful, not required. 7 days is kind of minimal if you're going to get any insights happening. And then the step 6, which is optional, is commitment and accountability. So in other words, I will go back and recap. If this went too fast for you, don't worry, I'll go back. What will be required to change in order for you to honor a practice? How will you be accountable to your bravery practice? And then who would love to partner with you or support you? And then last, how will you reward yourself for your practice? So basically, going back to the steps, all the things you could do to be braver, you're going to grab from this list, and you're making a bit of a formula. So it's kind of like if you've ever played the board game Clue, it's like Colonel Mustard and the study with the candlestick, except this is not about fake murder scenarios. This is about mixing and matching what you want to put into your personal bravery plan. So you're going to grab something from step 1, maybe circle a couple of the things that really excite you and that are easy, because it's best to start with easy things first. You're going to grab some things from your step 2 and make them a variety. So if you notice you're very physically brave, maybe choose some of the other categories for your other days. And you want to plot out for those 6 days that you've chosen, what are you going to choose from step 2 and step 1? Okay. And then once you have that for the different days, you're going to choose how long you're going to practice that thing, and it will depend on what it is. So if you're choosing solo travel, it's hard to practice that on a daily basis. So think about maybe a walk into a new neighborhood, or something like that, something that you can easily do every day for 6 days. And it could be 3 minutes, it could be an hour, it could be whatever. I find that 10 minutes is pretty much baseline if you want to start a practice. And then you're doing a personal bravery practice that is daily. And of course, the 7th day, you don't do anything on the 7th day. Whatever your 7th day is that you didn't use, you use to rest because it's good to integrate. But how long do you want to keep this up? Usually people are not going to commit to something forever into the stretch of time, because we're animals that like variety. But I like to think about a module of experimentation. So when I experiment, I usually do something for at least 30 days. 40 days is not only helping you build a new habit, but getting into new neuroplasticity, new neural pathways that you're forming around this new thing that you've been practicing. So that's like the bonus points level. So you're picking things from your list that are easy. You're picking different kinds of bravery. You are matching them with days of the week and an activity that you can do to express that. You're giving yourself a time limit every day, 3 minutes minimum. Everyone has 3 minutes. Everyone has 10 minutes. And then you're choosing how long you want to keep this up, because you don't have to do this forever. A short experiment can be very powerful. And again, accountability, commitment. There's so many people who want to do this kind of thing and they just haven't thought about it, or they don't have the structure. So now that you have this 5-step process, you can add step 6 here, and rewarding yourself when you're done. So if you choose the date by which you're done, and you're done, you celebrate it and you go on into the world. So revisiting what you wanted to take away from the session, we can recap the comments from earlier, but basically I want to ask you, what is your bravery level now? Where are you based on what feels accessible that maybe you hadn't thought about? What has happened to your bravery as a result of this session? And then also, let's hear just your top takeaway. Any thoughts, feedback, or questions? I know we're just have a couple of minutes left, so would love to hear from you. What was this like for you? What did you learn? What did you take away? If you have any questions, this is where to find me. I'll stop sharing in a minute, but I do want to thank you. It's been a tremendous honor and pleasure to be here with you, hopefully unpacking some new ideas about bravery. And that is the end of my slideshow. Oops. Okay, so fabulous. Okay, more brave when you're in an unfamiliar place, less brave when you're in a comfortable cocoon. That is such important insight. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful, because now you can think about what you want to do with that. I have a client who is totally not cool in the morning. He's dealing with a lot of anxiety, and then afternoon it's totally fine. So just knowing yourself, you can build a practice around either going into that brave space more often, making sure you get out of your cocoon, or practicing equal time in each and just being mindful about it. That's awesome. Unknown is uncomfortable and sometimes terrifying. Yeah, it totally is. You're right. One of the things that I've started doing in my own life and my own work is going into the unknown on purpose, because again, like with the personal practice that we described, if you have the boundaries, it's kind of contained. It's not really high risk. It's a way to take a baby step into that. But yeah, if it's a really big thing, then it can be very, very terrifying. Again, we're just trying to give you something little bite-sized that you can digest and use. Do I have a cool form for this process? If not, I should. I hadn't thought about it, but I will take that as a challenge, and I will go ahead and create that. So I will upload that to my website. I appreciate the idea. Thank you. It's like a little mix and match kind of deal. So yeah, I would love to do that. Thank you for the idea. Oh, so glad. Yes, I can share my contact info, or Joe can share my contact info in the chat. It's info@culturedinnovations.com, or on Instagram, I'm at Cultured Innovations, cultured with a D. So glad you all could be here. Thanks for sharing space. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, but I know we're out of time. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. Be brave.
We have one more comment here. Let me put it here.
Oh, I love that. A book recommendation. Practice of Making Incremental Change, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. I'm putting that on my list right now. Thank you so much. I love it when people share books that are inspiring them, or books that resonate with what we've been talking about.
Yes, that's great. So thank you, Marte. That was awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we hope to see you in the next sessions. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.